everyone, this is the Book Devotee, and I'm here with another book review. Today we're going to be reviewing J.D.Robb's Brotherhood and Death. Sorry it's a little upside down on my camera for some reason, but that's the title. Um, for those of you who follow J.D.Robb and you follow the In Death series, you know that this is her latest book, I believe. As far as I know, this is the latest one. I think she's got another one coming out shortly, but for now, this is it. And like all of her in-depth books, it's a very provocative book. It gets you thinking, feeling, it grabs your emotions and pulls you in, whether or not you want to be pulled in, honestly. Um, Dr. Mira, we've all met her from the therapist at work that Eve talks to. She's like a mother to Eve. She's one of her best friends, pretty much. Her husband, Dennis Mira, is going to go talk to his cousin about selling a property they share. And he's not happy about it because it's one that was in his family. The one who owned it previously, when the guy died, he promised him that they would not sell it. They'd keep it in the family. His cousin, who's a senator, does not have any emotional ties to it. Doesn't remember any such promise and claims that Dennis Mira simply forgot or confused things because he's been known to do that and is pushing to sell the house. Well, Dr. Dennis Mira finds out that his cousin's meeting with a realtor to go look at the house, and he decides he's not going to let that happen. He's normally a mild-tempered kind of guy, but this time he decides he's going to go talk it out with his cousin, put his foot down on things. So he goes there and finds an unexpected surprise, I suppose you'd say. He gets there, walks in, hears voices, calls out, goes towards the back of the room thinking that the realtor there is getting quite upset over this. When he gets a quick view of his cousin in a chair with a black eye, bloody nose, terrified look on his face, and then he gets bashed across the back of the head. When he comes to, his cousin is gone. He looks all over the house for him. He can't find him, so he contacts his wife to see if she could get a hold of Eve and bring Eve into it, because that's the cop he knows and trusts. That is the very surprising start to a very interesting book. I mean, for those of us who've read her series, we know how much Dr. Mira and Dennis Mira are loved by Eve, and to have anything happen to either of them is not what you want, really. Of course, his wife is understandably upset and gets Eve as she's getting ready to go off shift, and they start doing a missing persons / quite possibly murder case. It's not long before the senator is found pretty much the next day back at the house where he was taken from, hanging from the chandelier. Obviously having been tortured, beaten, hurt, that kind of thing. And then it turns into Eve's murder case. She has to figure out why. It's one of those cases that the subject ends up getting to you. J.D.Robb is not one of those authors that shies away from topics that might be sensitive to people. She gets right into it, dives right in, and she explores it with all of her talents. And I think she does justice to all sides when she does it, though. And she does a good job. Because then it's found out, he's got a random tattoo, and she's got to figure out how this all plays. Several people, of course, end up dying for their faults, and some not for their faults, that kind of thing, before the case is solved. But I like the story because it touches on a subject that gets in your heart and twists, like a knife digging in, just twists and drags out all your emotions. I mean, there were times when I was reading this book when I had to stop because I got ticked off. I got angry at the characters, or I got frustrated with the characters. It's a subject that ends up affecting Eve pretty strongly because of what it has to deal with and what she has to continue to go through. And yet, in the end, there's a slight twist to the end, but at the same time, J.D.Robb has found a way to show compassion for the victims of such crimes while still showing that things still happen. And all of her books are like that. Everything from the very first book of Naked in Death on, they've always had that thing where she'll touch on every type of crime that can be done to a person, and she's not afraid to dive into it and make it the full point of the story, whether or not you like it. This is a book that I highly recommend you reading. If you're the type like me who likes to reread, then I'd read it once, twice, 3 times. You find more in it each time you read it, honestly. Read it once, returned it back to the library, rechecked it out after a couple weeks, reread it, and realized, hey, I found more than I thought before. The relationship between the characters continues to develop, and you see the feeling of family continuing to grow. Eve is letting more people into her mentally. There's some good stuff in here. One of our favorite detectives is now an actual detective, and it's nice. It really is. There's the one thing that wasn't really mentioned. I may have to reread because I might be wrong. I didn't find any mention of the candy thief this time. I don't know if I missed a book or if she just took a short break from the candy thief, but this time around I didn't really find the candy thief mentioned anywhere. That is one of my favorite side mysteries. It still hasn't been solved yet, but for now he wasn't, he or she or they were not there. So I'd say out of 5-star rating, I'd give it a 5 or higher. I'd give it full points for pulling you in, for drawing you in and getting to your emotions, getting to the joy, the sad, the sorrow, your nightmares, all that, and pulling it out into the book. Very good ending. I mean, it's can't stop reading until the last page is done ending. This is her typical fabulous way of writing, and I loved it. I can't wait for the next one to see what happens next. I mean, I've always been a fan of J.D.Robb, and I love all of her books. This is just one that kind of pulls you in a little more, we'll say. I hope you guys get to read it. I hope you enjoy it. If we all know the Miras from the books, and they feel like real people in this book. They always do, but this one more so than before. So I hope you guys get to enjoy it. I hope that you read it a few times, listen to it if you listen to books, just kind of absorb what you learn and then come back for more. If you have any comments on the book, feel free to leave a comment under my video. I'd love to have some comments and interaction with you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, I do have a few other videos. I've done a few other Nora Roberts books, plus a couple of books that most people haven't really heard of a whole lot yet. So you're welcome to check those out also. And if you have any suggestions for how I can improve, leave a comment. I'll reply if I can. It may not be as soon as you leave a comment, but I'll get back to you within a day or so of you commenting. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, keep reading.